Hey guys, my name's Luke and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at how to create a photorealistic earth in Blender. Before I carry on with the tutorial, I just want to give a quick introduction to this channel and what you can expect in the future. If you're not interested, skip to the time shown on the screen, as I'm sure you're here for a tutorial on the earth, not about this channel. However, this is going to be me focusing a lot on my work, which you can find on ArtStation, Instagram and Behance. If you like what you see, please feel free to drop a like and a follow. I'd be greatly appreciative of that. And all the works that you see, I'm going to be deconstructing, analysing and giving a tutorial on how I made it. Also dropping off some tips and tricks and things that I picked up along the way to hopefully help and inspire you guys as artists, just like I've been inspired. We do need to change some settings in our properties tab. So render properties, we need to go over to cycles, and device we need to change to GPU compute. You can also, this is optional, you don't have to, but if you have a NVIDIA graphics card, although I think it's sort of being implemented in Blender as a whole now, you can change your denoising. I like to put it on 32 and also put on optics. This is just for your viewport denoising. Then obviously you have your render denoising, which I will also change to optics. There we go. Scroll down to the very bottom to color management and then change your look to medium low contrast. This just helps balance this out, the bright intense light from the sun, just to give it a balanced look. So it's not too contrasting, not too saturated. I think that looks best for this sort of scene, but we may change it. We're also going to make our environment texture purely black, and oh, one more thing, sorry, resolution. We need to make it 1920 divided by 2.31 to get it 1920 by 8.31. As you can see, it's a nice wide shot there. You don't have to use this resolution, I just like to use it. So delete everything and add a mesh UV sphere. Perfect. Do Control and 2 to give it a subdivision surface of 2. Simple. Now we're going to go and drag open a new window here, go over to your shader editor, and using the links down in the description below, it's going to take you to some websites where you can find free images used for Earth. I'm going to be using diffuse, specular, normal and a separate map for the clouds. However, you can use whatever ones you like, don't have to use the one I provided, just as long as they're high quality, that's all that matters. So let's start off with our diffuse texture. Locate that in your directory and open it up. Make sure the color space is RGB and put color to base color. Duplicate that and then open it up again. Go over to where you've kept your specular map. Change color space to long color and plug that into specular. Duplicate this a third and final time, open it up and locate your normal map. Again, make sure it's long color, and then you don't have to, but just to be extra safe, you can always plug this in. If you do want to mess around with the UVs, I don't touch the UVs, but you can if you want, if you're doing something different. I don't know, up to you. Before you connect the normal into the BSDF node, you need to have a normal map node. So normal, if I can type, there we go, normal map, perfect. Color to color and normal to normal. I'm also going to add a point light. I'm going to set the radius to 1 meter. I'm going to drag this up. I found I used about 7 meters along the Y and Z. There you go, like that. And I also changed, yep, I think that looks pretty good so far. You can see we have the specular map working well by having the landmass completely ignored. 0.3 to 0.5. I'll keep it at 0.4 for now though. Now we're going to go back into our viewport and just add another UV sphere. This one's going to be for our clouds. Clouds, I'm going to be using a displacement for my clouds, and because of that you need to have a subdivision surface. I've found that using a subdivision surface of 5 works best. If you go to 6, with my settings which I use, I thought the clouds looked a little bit too defined and it didn't look very good, so I found that 5 was pretty solid choice for me. I'm also just going to bump it up to 5 on the viewport so you can see, but I will change that because it's very graphically intensive. Going up into the shader editor, create a new principled BSDF, move that up just a little bit, and then you also want to add a principled volume. Make sure it's principled volume and nothing else, no absorption or scatter, plug that into the volume, and now we're going to do the same thing as before, and you're going to locate where you put your cloud texture. I'm using an 8K one, but I would suggest use a slightly higher resolution one, which there are also higher resolution ones linked below. It's just more intense on your computer, so I'm trying to make some drawbacks so it's not as intense. Where it's color to color, you don't want that. You actually want it to be into the density, and just make sure that it's pure white, your color. Also, put the color into the alpha socket of your principal BSDF. This will tell Blender where it needs to be transparent and where it actually needs to show the cloud itself. Next up, we're going to add a displacement map. Place that there, put color into the height, and put displacement into displacement of the material output. Scroll down into your material properties and go into settings. Change bump only to displacement only, and that's pretty much it. I'm going to show you what it looks like now, and you'll see it's very spiky. See, that's not really what we want, is it? So we're going to change this to I found 0.001 works perfectly, but as you can see it looks weird, so that's because we need to turn up our scale. I think 0.005 works. Again, play around with it, see what works for you. And as you can see here, look, it's got like a grid pattern, it looks pixelated. That's just because we need to click on our sphere, right click, shade it smooth, gone. So that's the clouds done. You can make them slightly bigger, more elevated off of the surface of the Earth, but when I look at reference images, the clouds and the atmosphere are very tightly packed together. So I think this setup works for me. Now we're going to move on to the atmosphere. Okay, so same thing as before, just add a UV sphere and then hold down Control and 2. That will give it a subdivision surface of 2. That's fine. We can just leave it at 2. That's fine. Actually, I think I'm going to put it up on 3 on the render, but it doesn't really do anything, I don't think. We're going to increase the surface, the scale of the atmosphere, sorry, by making it 0.007, but we may increase it slightly, but for now that will work fine. Make sure you shade it smooth, and before we carry on, we're just going to rename everything. This will be atmosphere, and this is going to be clouds, and this will be surface. Perfect. Right, back in the atmosphere, we're going to create a new shader, delete the principal BSDF and add a geometry node. Put that there, get a vector transform, put the position into vector, and now I get a separate XYZ node. Now get a math node, put that there, change it to multiply and then duplicate it twice so you have 3. Put the X into the 2 values in the top, Y into the 2 values in the middle, and the Z 2 values in the bottom. This is where we're at so far. Let you guys have a look, pause it just so you can see what we're doing. Going quite fast, but it's pretty simple to set up. Move your material up out of the way because we're going to need a bit more room here. Next, we're going to need another math node, duplicate it once, leave it as add. We don't need to change this, that's fine. Put the value of the top multiply node into the value here, middle multiply into this value, bottom multiply into this bottom socket here, and we're going to put this add shader into this add shader. The reason why we're doing that is because Blender doesn't give us 3 values, it only has 2, so we have to make a compromise by having this add shader go into this add shader. It does the exact same thing, it just looks a bit different. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit easier now and more understandable, because to be quite honest with you, I don't fully understand the math behind this and what Blender's trying to do. It just works. Add a color ramp. This one is going to be controlling the color of the atmosphere. This one is going to be controlling the fall off effect and how tight your atmosphere will be sucked into the planet and how neatly it sits on there. Put the value into the factor of both of the color ramps, and I'm also just going to add a second slider for both of these because we'll need to use them later on. Leave them for now, we'll come back to it. Final math node, this is the last one, I promise. Make it to multiply and put the color of your bottom color ramp into the top value here and change the bottom value from 0.5 to 10. This is because we need to tell Blender that the atmosphere density is a value of 10. The way we do that is by making a principled volume, put it there, put volume into volume, and put the value of this multiply node into the density. And that's telling Blender that, yeah, density is no longer 1, it is now going to be 10, and as well as it being 10, we also can tweak the fall off and color and whatever. Take the top color ramp and put it into the color. That is essentially it. That's it, done. I'm going to look at it in the rendered mode, and it's not going to look the best because it's got no color and we haven't sort of tweaked the size of it, but it's not too bad, and you can see sort of the effect of what we're going for with some of the clouds and how they cast shadows. That's why now we can tweak around with the colors and how we want it to sit on our Earth. Before we do that, I am going to add a quick camera, so just add a camera, if I can do that. There we go. I like to hold down Alt and R to reset the camera's position. I like to press the tilde key. I think it's pronounced, is it tilde? I don't know. The little one next to the 1's got like a squiggly line on it. Hit that, hold it, and also press 1 at the same time. It will take you into your camera view. And then go down into view and then select camera to view, and that will let you move it as if you're actually just moving around normally. Set your camera up how you want it and what angle. I always like to have a slightly harsher angle when I'm doing stuff to do with planets. I think it looks really cool. One thing we will do though, and you'll do this, you want to do this for all of your space projects if you're doing something space related, change your focal length to 100. I think that's really important when doing space focused stuff because it's a telephoto lens, which is what telescopes use. They use lenses greater than 100mm or around 80, that sort of value. But yeah, you want a telephoto lens because that's what's used in space imagery. Okay, now we have our camera set up roughly, we can start to tweak the actual atmosphere itself. So with the color, I think I'm going to make the base color, which is this slider here, I'm going to make that a nice blue, like there. Probably won't do much, but it will do something, that's fine. And again, you can really see it now, the shadows there. That's what we're going for, that's what we want. Alright, next up is gauging the fall off effect and how the atmosphere looks. The left one you want to keep as black, and the very right one you also want to bring down and make it black. That's going to make it look like this, and it looks, well, it's gone, the atmosphere's gone. Change the middle slider up to white, pure white, and drag it to the right, and there we go, it's starting to come back now. Perfect. It just gives us a little bit more control over our atmosphere, which I like to have. If you want to have it fully encasing the Earth, or you want to have it you can just see it on the Terminator line, that's fine, but I do like to have a pretty dense atmosphere. I think they look really cool and they suit what I want a lot. I think I'll keep it around that. I think that looks nice. I think that looks pretty cool. And then what I also like to do is I'll grab the cloud map and then I'll just rotate it slightly until I find something that looks really cool. I think that looks nice. I like that. I like the clouds up here. Nice thick clouds. You can see there's a bit of displacement going on. It looks like it has some volume to it. It's not just a flat image. That's what we're going for. That's what we want. I think that will be it. And now I'm going to render this out and then I'll meet you guys in the Compositor tab. Okay, so I've just rendered the image out and now in the Compositing tab. We're going to go over here and click Use Nodes. You can see this little rendered image there. Keep that into the composite, that's fine. Add a viewer node. And then go image into image. There we go. Hit V on your key and you can zoom out. I didn't know that until recently and it's been very helpful. Alright, so what we're going to add now is a glare node. We're going to need a glare node. Hook that up in there and it's going to look awful because we need to change it to fog glow. And once we've changed it to fog glow, we need to make the size, actually no, we need to change it to high because I noticed that gives it a more refined edge, which is what I want. I'm going to change the size, just tone it down a little bit. Yeah, I think that looks good. 7, perfect. Then we're going to add another glare node. just do Shift D, drag the image down into the image here, change this one to streaks. I'm also going to add a mix shader before I forget. Hook it up like that so you have the glare fog glow in the top layer and the glare streaks in the bottom layer. Make sure it's high, set the streaks. I like to have it on 2 because it just, I don't know, I just think it looks good. You can change the angle that you want it if you want the offset. At the minute it's horizontally. You can make it vertically by making it 90 degrees. I'll see what looks good. That looks pretty cool. What about 45? Let's have a look at that. This is the whole point of graphics. You've got to tweak, see what looks good. I think I might go with 90, but I'm also just gonna tone it down a little bit. I'll keep it on 3 iterations, but I don't want it so intense, you know, because at the minute I've only got it on that. So let's change this to 0.5 and we'll get a mix of both. I think I'm going to tone it down a little bit more actually. Let's try 0.2. Yeah, it's not bad. What if we increase this to 8? Nah, see, that's too much. Is it too much? Yeah, I think it is a bit too much. No, actually, let's keep it for now. Let's see how we go. Let's put this back up to 5, and then okay, I think that will be okay for now. If, I don't know, let's try rotate it. How does that look rotated? Yeah, I think it looks okay. As in the streaks doesn't look too bad. I think it's all entirely up to you. You don't have to do this. I think this looks okay, but again, it's entirely up to you and what you feel looks best for your end. Okay, so that will be the tutorial finished there. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been helpful. If you did like the tutorial, please leave a like and subscribe because that will really help me out, and do feel free to check out the links below again to all of my other social medias where I post on there, and hopefully I can inspire you guys and you can create some really cool works for yourself. But thank you again for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.